What is the stupidest thing you've done, just to show you could do it? In grade school, maybe age 11 or 12, I had these cheap jeans. I figured out that I could flex my belly and pop the button open. Found this funny and guy friends in class. Got a laugh too. One of them turns to a girl. "Hey girl, check out what op can do." I flex my belly and let out a huge fart while the button popped open. She turned away, my buddy laughed, and I never did this trick again. I let a black widow spider bite me to prove that they were venomous but not deadly. I also won a $150 bet. When I was 6 I stapled my fingers because I had convinced all of my friends that I had iron hands. I was around that age too, and I was fiddling around with a stapler and stapled my pointer fingers together. It was the skin just next to the nail so it barely hurt. I went downstairs to tell my mom, who was doing laundry, that I stapled my fingers together. I still remember the look on her face to this day. Edit. Then again, that was yesterday, so of course I remember /s. I told my 6th grade friends I could just off a 2-story roof and not get hurt. Guess who only got a scraped knee that day? Not me. I broke my leg. Parkour people, on the other hand, can do a safety roll and be mostly unharmed aside from some mild pain. Played that stupid fucking 5-finger fillet game with the compass back when I was in school. As I got more confidence I obviously got faster and inevitably the point went right into the side of my fingertip. Fucking idiot. I played that stupid game at scout camp. I stopped after one of the younger scouts got too cocky because he could go faster than us older guys and sliced about 1/2 inch into the webbing between his fingers. I can still see the blood. As a kid I told my friends I could hold my breath for a long time, long enough to pass out, in fact. And that's exactly what I proceeded to do. My friends and used to have those breathing contests in the pool where you go underwater and see who could hold in their breath the longest. I'm a really competitive person, so of course I won. I passed out in the pool when I was 9 doing this. The lifeguard was too busy flirting to care, and he thought I was faking it. Edit. Typo. Walked through the brush of archery line to get a football to prove it wasn't poison ivy. I did it. I got the football. It was poison ivy. Won a donut eating contest. In 10 minutes I ate about 17 donuts, and seconds before the time was up, and I had all my thoughts set on having a hearty cleansing. Puka Matherfucker who wasn't even taking part yelled that throwing up afterwards should disqualify you. Somebody counted that I took in a few days worth of calories. My appetite came back 2 days after. I stabbed my leg with a pencil in elementary school. I told people I couldn't really feel much pain, which, at the time, was true. There was a spot on my leg from the lead for years. A buddy bet I couldn't finish the spiciest chicken sandwich at this joint, known for insanely spicy chicken, in under 30 minutes. I knew I fucked up when they gave me gloves to eat the sandwich, so the sauce couldn't touch my skin, and made me sign a waiver. Won the bet, but really I lost in the end. In 2001, my sister got me a Sony phone, a tiny little thing with a flip down front. She worked in a phone shop and got discount. On the box, it said the phone was waterproof and there were tiny rubber seals in places. I believed them. At the pub where I worked, this aspect came up in conversation. Some guy said the phone couldn't be waterproof and that showerproof was probably more accurate. Remembering the box, I argued the point and dropped my phone into a pint of beer in an effort to prove it. I was wrong. Brutal but well earned life lesson. Cliff diving. Saw a rolled man do a front flip off a 40-foot cliff. I said if he can do it, so can I. I did the flip alright, followed by a belly flop that Zeus could hear. Knocked the air out of me, but luckily people were floating nearby to save my dumbass. I bruised my ass by jumping off a similar height rock and landing in a seated position. Not me, but one of my former co-workers told us about the time he ate a tub of butter on a dare. He made it about halfway through and had to throw up. He said what came out was neon yellow. For the next month, the smell of butter made him gag, and when he perspired, he could still smell it. You'd think he'd learn, but he attempted the butter tub challenge a second time. This time, he paced himself and actually finished the whole thing. He said the fuck up though was eating it before having to catch a train. While he was waiting, his heart was racing and he felt so amped up. He did push-ups and jumping jacks at Penn Station. Shoved my pointer finger into my nose up to second knuckle. I then got a sinus infection. Who knew? My daughter did that to me when she was 2. Then she hooked her finger and pulled. Had a terrible blood nose, and for a few days, if I sneezed it would start back up. 0/10 would not recommend. I was learning MMA for 3 months when some guy challenged me to a fight. I immediately accepted it because I wanted to impress my crush by beating him. Turns out he was a national champion and was in the state for a MMA tournament. I got my ass kicked for solid 3 rounds. Why on earth would a national champion ass kicker challenge somebody who has been training for 3 months? What did you do to this guy to upset him? Remained standing through as much taser as possible. My friend used up the battery on himself and said he was trying to get used to it. He said that eventually he would be able to remain standing. I said what the hell and tried. It's not easy fighting electroconvulsive action. We tasted ourselves and each other a bunch of times. I don't think we got better at resisting it. I say taser bit, I really mean stun gun, no prongs. Tell me more about tasting yourselves. Jumped illegally over the China Myanmar border and back again. Edit. Well, this blew up. This was in 2002. I was in China legally, in the town of Ruli, Yunnan province. Across a small stream and tooth and strings of barbed wire was the city of Musay, White Elephant City, Myanmar, which was closed to foreigners at the time. A group of opium addicts were smoking in the thick bushes growing near the border and invited me over for a chat. I saw no border guards were within line of sight of me, so I did. We had an interesting chat in a mixture of English and Chinese. Later I wandered into the closest narrow street lined with dilapidated white wooden buildings, with bearded men in sarongs wandering around. I bought a Burmese noodle dish. No alcohol available in that state. Then I hightailed it back to the same crossing spot and over, about 90 minutes after I first went over. Ruli, China is, or at least was, a lawless borderland, with all the vices that lawless border towns typically attract. My crossing was the least of the local authorities' worries. I wouldn't repeat it or recommend it to anyone, though. When I was around 12, I was neglecting to flush my piss. Too busy playing Armored Core. So my dear mother brings me into the bathroom and tells me if I don't flush next time, she's going to dip my hands in the piss. I looked at her, made a hammer fist, smashed it in the toilet, covered myself in piss, only a little on her, thank God. I wasn't even a malicious child, just salivated at the opportunity to show I could withstand the punishment and was thus unafraid. I was about 4 years old and my grandfather was making something with buttermilk. I saw it in his hand and I cried and screamed and begged to have some. He kept saying no, you won't like it, but I persisted. He finally poured me an entire glass. I took one swig and I'm sure he could see the disgust on my face because he looked like he had one. I stared at him right in his eyeballs as I chugged the entire glass. I proved to myself that it's possible to eat 5 kilos of shrimp in one sitting. I also proved that eating 5 kilos of shrimp in one sitting will make you very sick. Agreed. Red Lobster did all you can eat shrimp once and I considered it a challenge. I sat down and immediately asked my waitress what the most shrimp she had seen a person eat was. The end. Thanks for watching.